June, what is East Thames doing to respond to all of the changes happening in housing at the moment?
Well, there's a lot going on. I suppose the first thing to discuss is the complete change in funding to build new homes. We're going to get a lot less grant. Rents are expected to be higher, and we're going to have to borrow more. We've been doing a lot of work on this. We've started from the point of view of what could people on low incomes afford to pay, so that they could get out of benefit if they earned a little bit more. And we've set the level of grant that we wanted in line with that. So our grant levels are going to be at the high end of what government's going to be allocating to organisations to build new homes. But even then the rents go up. So that's one thing. But then there are loads of changes to welfare benefits proposed, particularly around housing benefit. And that is a real concern in terms of how people who are already on low incomes are going to cope. There's going to be a cap proposed on welfare benefits for all families at the upper limit of £26,000. That doesn't sound too bad until you start to factor in housing prices in London, which are so high because of the shortages. So we're really concerned changes to the way housing benefits paid, changes to the level of housing benefit and what you're entitled to. So if you've got an extra room, maybe your child has left home, you're now in a 2-bed with only 2 of you, you could see your benefits being cut. So we're really anxious about this. We're campaigning to try and get some of the changes stopped because they don't come in until 2013. So we're working with the National Housing Federation, with other big London associations to argue for the changes being a little bit more sensitive and sensible. And we'll do our best to try and look after our tenants.
June, I'm interested to find out a little bit more about some of the threats and also the opportunities in East London and Essex at the moment.
In terms of opportunities, of course there's a vast amount of land still. So you've got all of the Lower Lee Valley out along the Thames, through Newham, out to Barking Dagenham, Havering, and then out into Thurrock and beyond. So there's lots of opportunities in terms of development land being available for both housing and potentially for employment. There's the Olympics, of course, which we're all very excited about, and the impact that that's going to have in terms of putting Stratford and East London on the map and getting the message out that this is a great place to invest in, this is a great place to create more jobs in, put your offices in. The question is, how quickly will this happen? And obviously the recession has a real impact on that. And also the cut in funding for regeneration from government, because a lot of the sites in the area need just a bit of money to get them going. They're brownfield sites, they've got a lot of poor environmentals at the moment. So lots of big opportunities, but a need for investment, whether it's in the public or the private sectors.
June, the Olympics next year is obviously the most exciting thing happening in East London. What are going to be some of the legacy aspects of the Games?
Well, obviously there's the affordable housing, 1,400 new homes at the end of the Olympics, which we own a third of as part of Triathlon. The company set up to buy the affordable housing. So that's a real bonus. And then the Olympic Park Legacy Company have got a great master plan which will provide a lot more family homes with gardens and some nice flats. Huge new park, of course, with lots of sporting facilities, so that's going to really be exciting. Transport's been improved, so Stratford has always been a fantastic place and an easy place to get to. That's only going to get better. The shopping centre, I'm sure a lot of people will see that as a real plus, and that's going to create new jobs, new opportunities for people. So lots and lots of things, and really it's the impact of the Olympic Park on the rest of the area, how that pulls up Stratford, how that creates new development around Stratford, and how it impacts more broadly on East London.
You mentioned the 1,400 affordable homes. One of the big challenges is obviously going to be creating a sense of community in an area where there's been nothing, and all of a sudden, in the space of 8 months, there'll be a few thousand people living in the area. How do you see that playing out?
Well, I mean, it is unprecedented, and I mean, when I say unprecedented, we have actually checked And we can't find anybody that's had to let this number of homes, 1,400 homes in 8 months for affordable housing. You know, we can go back to the 60s. Since the 60s, we just don't think it's happened. And then, of course, you've got, you know, 3,000 homes overall, because the private sector partners, when they're chosen, I'm sure will also want to sell or let their homes as quickly as possible, because it's cash coming in. So lots of people moving in. We think around 10,000 new people living in an area. So thinking through the logistics of that is a major exercise. Encouraging people who come into the affordable rented housing to get into the jobs in the area, to train. Now we're doing lots of work linking up with local employers, particularly Westfield, around that. But then thinking about how we get kids into school, how we get the right mix of people coming in, so we don't have children all of the same age, that we have a balance of adult households, and age profiles. So there's an awful lot to think about to try and make it work. We want to give people choice. We want people to be moving onto the site because they want to be there, and that they can see the benefits of being near a fantastic new park, good public transport, great shopping offer, but also opportunity to get into employment and to really make a difference to your life.